Some exercise.
All right, please begin.
Okay, so, all right, so drug development in 5 minutes. So in 2007, the Congress said we need to get better and faster at dealing with adverse events after clinical trials are done. So at the FDA, we built the largest medical surveillance system in the country. We now have here 10 million cumulative patient identifiers under observation, about 70 million patients under observation at any given time, and most importantly, we can reach out and contact those people. And the important thing is that this allows us to get rates, which you need to make any decisions about medical products. You need people under observation, you need counts of adverse events. So then we started thinking about, could we turn this towards drug development in some way? And we set up one of the largest clinical trials that's ever been set up, 40,000 people in each arm for a total of 80,000 people in this network studying a healthcare quality intervention for atrial fibrillation. And you identified the patients completely through electronic healthcare data. You looked at the outcomes completely through electronic healthcare data. And we sidestepped having to actually get informed consent from patients because there was just a direct mailed intervention. So that was kind of easy. So now we have new legislation called 21st Century Cures that says we need to think about new ways to use real-world evidence to develop drugs. And bottom line, though, is our standards for approval haven't changed. So you can read them right there. But here's the important thing. We have all this great secondary healthcare data, and I don't have a laser pointer, but this is an example of clinical trial endpoints that are used to approve drugs. And 30% of them at the bottom are clinician-reported outcomes or patient-reported outcomes. You're not going to get those from secondary data. You've got to have primary data collection. And so I got a grant to set up the FDA My Studies app. And the FDA My Studies app is an open source system, so I'm actually not selling anything. It is built on standard frameworks, Apple Research Kit, and the Android Research Stack system, so future developers can iterate on it. It also has a gateway capability, so it can support multiple studies for a particular organization. It has a web-based configuration portal, so unlike there are some purpose-designed apps for use in clinical trials, but this is designed to be broadly applicable to a lot of different trial endpoints. And could also be used for safety studies or other healthcare outcome studies. Most importantly, in terms of scalability, it has a secure storage environment, which is 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, and that's basically the part of the regs that deal with the kind of data quality and authenticity and integrity you need to have if you want to be involved in clinical trials. But it's also useful for real-world evidence, and it can be partitioned. What I didn't mention before about that largest national surveillance system was there's about 18 data sources in that system. And so if you're going to run a multi-site study with all those 18 systems, you need to be able to partition everything for distributed research so that the data from the patient stays with the data holder. And then you can obviously take the data from the app, link it to the existing healthcare data, and then run your analytics on that. So right now, we've piloted this in a small study. We have a private sector research organization that's basically taken everything off our GitHub and repurposed the app on their own. And then we are now engaged with 2 other partners using this in a clinical trial and a patient registry, which is also recruiting into an observational study. There's a webinar for those of you who are interested on May 9th. And these are the 2 trials, LIMIT-JA trial, children with limited juvenile idiopathic arthritis, being compared with a biologic versus usual care, and then also the SPARK registry, which is looking at inflammatory bowel disease patients and getting patient-reported outcomes from them over time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Right on the dot at 5 minutes. Judges.
Why wouldn't an industry partner want to use this? What do you think?
Actually, the only reason that I can think of is if they want to build a 100% proprietary sort of purpose-built thing just for themselves, basically. But then they have to go through all this development work that we already did for them to basically bring it to the same standard.
Right, because pharmas are rapidly partnering with folks to build these, or they have in-house units to build these. Yeah, I think
So
that's
they're
a key
interested.
question. Yeah,
I mean, we just put it
yeah,
out.
cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's incredibly important because rather than some idealized study with idealized patients in an academic center, you're looking at real world usage, which is very different than idealized usage. So I'm glad you're developing this. Are the characteristics you're following up, I assume that's the patient themselves who enters the data based upon their experience? And is this general health data, or is it customized to the type of treatment they're receiving and the type of disorder they have?
No, I mean, it's all customized according, so exactly. I mean, if you want to study, rheumatoid arthritis, you're probably going to have them answering data for patient-reported outcome scales that are typically validated and used in that therapeutic area for your, and so you're going to import that into your trial. But you could also just configure this thing, like you said, to answer some kind of general health questions. You could really use this thing for other purposes.
Post-marketing is, I think, an important area we should be looking at also.
Right. I mean, you could, I mean, we've done things like we've gone to conferences and, it was like a heart failure conference, well, a cardiology conference, so we configured a heart failure PRO. But then simultaneously someone said, well, you can also configure it and have some health and fitness questions in here or something like that. But the main thing is that it's connected to the electronic health data.
Captain Martin, first of all, thank you very much for your service. Greatly appreciate it. We are lucky as a country to have brainiacs like you who are both articulate and very good at giving presentations. I thought you did an excellent job, and thank you.
We have 2 minutes remaining.
This is a modular platform in that it's not just survey data, it's biosensor and wearable data.
Well, so we haven't paid for that yet, but if someone wants to basically use, as long as you can do development work that's compatible with ResearchKit or ResearchStack, you could potentially have that work, or you could have the sensors separately, the wearables, the sensors, could separately interact with the storage environment. So it depends on what kind of model you're looking at, but right, the only thing that stopped us was money and time.
2 minutes.
So we built the basics and put that out, and we're looking for other people to iterate.
Do you see partners or let's say pharma having the option to either keep the data close and not reveal it open, or make the data public, keep it open and de-identified?
Yeah, so the answer is both. So if you're actually developing a drug and you actually want to get approval, then your data is going to the FDA. At the end of the day, it's ultimately going to the FDA. And you're going to have individual patient level data at the FDA, although it can be totally de-identified at the FDA level. But there could be plenty of other scenarios where people have, public disclosure of the data that they collect. It depends typically on the patient's informed consent, so you have to have patient buy-in for that. But you tend to see stuff like that in communities like Patients Like Me, registries, where the patients themselves are sort of driving it and saying, we want to share our data publicly, we're willing to be named, because we're invested in this, chronic disease area, this therapeutic area, different treatments, future development, etc.
One more question. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Martin.